Let's get into it. So, our first review of the day is going to be for the new M. Night Shyamalan movie, Trap. Trap here, directed by M. Night Shyamalan. People know M. Night Shyamalan for a variety of different movies, things like Signs, things like Sixth Sense, things like Unbreakable. He's had a little bit of a comeback recently with a series of movies in kind of the mid 2010s all the way up until now, the early 2020s, where he's done things like Old and Glass and Split. He did Knock at the Cabin, which just came out last year. I think it's somewhat better, I guess, than his output that he's put out, like stuff like The Happening or Lady in the Water. There, like some people are a little bit more receptive to Knock at the Cabin, which I was all right. I think it was okay there a little bit. And then he also did a return to Unbreakable with his movies Split and Glass, which were I like Split a little bit more than Glass. I think Glass kinda gets a little crazy. I guess it's a little
Yeah.
silly there. But what's going on here with his new kind of thriller Trap? Well, you have a dad and a daughter, and, what's more dad and daughter like than going to a concert together? You know, he's trying to treat his daughter there, taking her to go see her favorite artist, Lady, Raven, is her name, this pop star, who actually is played by M. Night Shyamalan's daughter, there as well. So he's got 3 daughters, one of whom we just saw direct a movie called, The Watchers, there that came out, which
Yes, we did.
I didn't
We
really
did.
like so much there, but that's fine. But yeah, she's just starting out her career as a director, and now here's another daughter in one of his movies there as a pop star in this, who actually is a real singer, and she wrote all the songs for this movie, and there's a whole album accompanying this. Her songs have been featured in different shows and things like that. And as a pop star, as a singer, I think she's decent. I think she's all right there. So yeah, he takes his daughter to go see her favorite artist there, and then he starts noticing Josh Hartnett, the dad, who's Cooper. He starts noticing there's all these police around. He starts asking, "It's like, what's going on? Why is there all this police surrounding this concert?" And a guy who just tells him, this vendor who's very open. A lot of people are very open in this movie
Yes,
about
yes, yeah.
telling information. And all he has to do is just basically say his name. It's like, "Hey, how's it going? I'm Cooper." It's like, "Oh, well, hey, Cooper. Well, let me tell you what's going on, Cooper. This and this and this." So the vendor guy, he tells him like, "Oh, this is a trap all set up because the police believe that there's this serial killer that's been terrorizing the town, that he's going to be here, and they're checking everybody to make sure that he can't escape. You know, the butcher, as they call him." So, and as you see in the trailer here, the butcher is Josh Hartnett, and it's a kind of a cat and mouse game to see how he is going to escape, get out of this concert. They're unscathed. Is he going to get caught? Is he not going to get caught? Yeah. And Josh Hartnett, we see a little bit of they call it the Renaissance now of him. Like he also kind of took a break for a while in Hollywood, where he, kind of took a long break. We saw a lot of his youth where he was in things like Faculty. He was in things like the Halloween movie, Virgin Suicides, Black Hawk Down, much in his younger days. But he kind of took a little bit of a break, it seemed like. Now he's kind of coming back. We saw him in Oppenheimer recently, which he did, I thought, very well in Oppenheimer. He was in an episode of Black Mirror. And he has a little bit of a kind of thing going on here where he's, has 2 sides. He's the goofy dad, and then he's the, cold-blooded serial killer here, where he's calculating every move, trying to figure out a way to escape this concert. And M. Night Shyamalan, he said he kind of based this a little bit on real life experience of taking his kids to go see pop concerts, and then thinking in his head like, man, well, it'd be kind of crazy if there was a serial killer here trying to escape. It's like he kind of had this, thought in his head of, escaping these pop concerts. Cause I don't know, I don't have kids. So I imagine, I don't know, maybe if you're a parent trying to take your kid to these things and their new favorite artists, it's like, I don't understand the appeal. I don't get it. It's just whatever, this is what the kids are into. This is what they're into. This is what they love there. So I'm going to pass it to you, Dusk. What were your thoughts on M. Night's Trap?
Well, I did feel like I was in a trap. I was hoping that this would be a good movie.
Mhm.
Instead, I began trapped, and I was stuck with a mediocre thriller that loses the plot about 40 minutes after it should have ended. And the first beginning 40 minutes to an hour is mostly just singing and concerts, and nothing really happens until the serial killer is just revealed, and then it's just spent just trying to get out of there. He Not much really happens in this movie, if I'm gonna be honest.
Um, okay. I will say, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. As M Night, if you
It's
watch,
extremely straightforward.
when it comes to M Night's filmography, which I think I've seen a good chunk of his filmography there. Usually, I mean, Shyamalan. I mean, he was famous for the Shyamalan twist. There's always a twist with his movies. There's always something kind of happening, and there's like a little bit of a minor twist in it, but for most part, it's pretty straightforward here. With this kind of concept. I mean, you already see in the trailer. It's not trying to hide the fact of who the serial killer is. The serial killer is Josh Hartnett. He is the butcher. He, is trying to figure out a way to escape here. Like the trailer clearly shows that there. I did enjoy it for Josh Hartnett's performance. I thought he was good. As trying to flip back and forth between goofy dad and then cold blooded killer, even though it's a little exaggerated. I guess. I mean, I guess that's the point to highlight that because when he's the dad, he's such a goofy dad. It's almost like
It's comical.
it's comical that I mean, to that point there, he's making the dad jokes, he's, doing the corniness of that. But it's also supposed to highlight the difference between the two personas that he has there. And also, the way he kind of is trying to figure out a way to escape, I thought was kind of interesting. I thought that was interesting. I mean, you also have to suspend a lot of disbelief as you do with a lot of M. Night movies of people doing things, of how he's able to kind of maneuver throughout this whole stadium and able to get backstage, able to, wear disguises and do all this other stuff. Like this scene right here where he goes into this police briefing there, posing as an employee that works there as a vendor. Why the police wouldn't just tell him, "Hey, come back later. We're doing a
Yeah,
briefing." It's like, "Hell,
absolutely.
stop what you're doing," because you don't see any other employee there. It's
No.
all just the police there. Why they wouldn't tell him, "Hey, we're doing a briefing. This is important.
Yeah.
Come back later in like 10 minutes. You can get the coffee or whatever." Like he just glides his way through there and then kind of like, I don't think that would be a thing. Um, the way he's able to kind of also cause some of the distractions, like we saw in the scene where he does that, where he poses as one of the vendors at like a fast food type thing there. Even though that lady was stupid, she was looking at that. Like he puts in glass bottles into a greaser into a fry machine there, and she's
And
just
she's just staring at it.
staring there, looking at it, and then waiting it to blow up in her face. I was like, "What the fuck are you doing?" I mean,
As soon as I
like,
see that, I'm either turning it off or running away.
yeah, like, why wouldn't you just close it's like, "Oh, shit, somebody accidentally," and she's just staring there looking at it, and it blows up in her face, and she gets burned, and grease comes on her face, and that allows him to that distraction allows him to kinda get on the roof. Because so I kinda found it interesting, like, how he's trying to find any way he can to escape. He's trying to look for any route there, like him like an animal. Like, I actually thought that was kinda good, and then there's even a scene where, like, an artist comes up from the ground, the floor there where it's like an elevator, and he's trying to, like, even he's like, "Hey, let's go in there," and he's trying to convince his daughter to try to escape that way. And it also has an added pressure because it's not just him, it's his child with him as well. So there's that so I kinda found some of that interesting there with it, of that kinda game. You didn't think some of that was at all kinda interesting?
I
'Cause
mean, yeah, but most of this movie it feels like a dad movie. He's just joking around, talking about stuff, and then on the pretense, every once in a while, he looks at his phone. I was like, "Oh, you're gonna get it. You're gonna get it." And then I gotta get out of here. Oh, but I'm stuck at this concert. You just you're like, okay, where's the store? You're just trying to get out of here. The FBI profiler, her character. I wanted to see more of. There could have been an actual cat and mouse chase that felt more authentic. If we almost didn't know who the serial killer was, we didn't know who the butcher was, and everyone was stuck at this concert, and then well, we're in a bottleneck. How do we not alert to the butcher getting out and this main character we're following, or the characters we're following, and who's who, and we don't know who to trust. And then there's something, but we already know who the killer is. We know this. So when we're going in and just seeing him act like a goofball and try to pretend to be this, and then have the story around it, it just doesn't work. It doesn't work from a storytelling device. It doesn't work from a setup and payoff. It The police act stupid, the characters act stupid. You don't believe any of these situations they get to. And just when you think the movie ends, just when you think the movie has earned an ending, whether I liked it or not, I would at least have accepted a certain ending. I'm like, oh, okay, it ends on ambiguity. Okay, fine. There's 30, 40 minutes after. They're still going. Like, what?
I mean, that's what I mean. This dude, he's maxed out on the stat of evasiveness because he's master level evasive.
Yeah,
Because his ability to escape the police at certain times, what he does is like, how the fuck does he even do that? It's it's something to behold, really. And again, you have to suspend your disbelief again. The fact that he can escape this many times and do all these things, and kind of get around, and just the fact, the whole concept of like the police are going to be surrounding this concert and, basically create this trap for this one guy. I guess you also have to suspend disbelief of that. And then even the way that later in the movie, it gets revealed why they picked this concert, like how they knew that he was going to be there, which is kind of like, wait, that doesn't even really make total sense of just from the information you were given. The FBI profiler in this, who is played by I'm trying to find the name of the actor there, Haley Mills there, who plays the FBI profile. I would like to see more of her.
right.
Actually, I agree with you there. Of like, yeah, seeing how she kind of, is able to track this person, because again, this is another character who just gives all this information without being necessary. Because this is a scene where he goes to the roof and the
Mhm.
police are there, and he's like, "Oh yeah," he has this conversation with him, and then he's, "Oh yeah," he asks about the FBI profiler, which why would the police even respond to that question?
Exactly.
I don't know, but he's like, "Oh, yeah, she's the woman running things, and, she's thought of everything. Yeah, she's really good." And I'm like, "Why would you
I
tell
used
this
Yeah.
random person that you don't even know, this vendor, about this information?" I don't know, like, why would they be privy to that? But, yeah, I wish you got a little bit more with her, and, just her breaking down the psychology of who this person is. You mostly get it from other people there. Why other people would have this information about the killer, I mean, I don't know, maybe they were curious and maybe they asked, but, yeah, I don't really understand that. But I mean, you don't even really see her her really, like, in just a scene by herself. Usually, it's like she's talking to over a radio, or she's talking to someone with the door kinda
Right.
half closed or something like that. So I thought that was kinda strange there a little bit. I don't know, but I guess it's supposed to lend into, if you I don't wanna spoil it, but the type of issues that he has, there, and I don't wanna spoil too much of it there. Um, anything else, about the movie there?
No, I mean, without getting into real spoilers, this felt like a M. Night Shyamalan movie. An interesting idea, not quite executed as well as you had hoped. And he has plenty of movies that feel like that. I wanted to like the premise. I thought it was an interesting premise. On paper, it seems like an interesting idea. A Ballnick movie, you're stuck at a concert, you're here, and all of a sudden, oh, you're in a room with serial killer. I'm like, that's actually interesting. That could go and make a really interesting movie. How did they get out of this situation? But when you reveal the fact that, I mean, you're already going in, you're like, oh, he's a serial killer. I'm like, oh, he's the guy that they're trying to look for. That's also even more interesting. How are they going to handle this? And you have to write these characters very well. This has to be a very well written movie to pull this off. And that's never been M. Night's strong suit. Never.
Uh,
And you just see that right from the beginning. Also, and this is just a small thing, sidebar. I know I'm not trying to get him on nepotism, but this whole movie focuses on his daughter, who does have a musical career and trying to make one, and she's the main act in this show. Without getting into spoilers, a character that wasn't really a focus becomes a major focus later in the story to the point where it's completely unrealistic at all. And large part of this movie, you're just you're just listening to her music, like the full song completely as things happen. I mean, M Night might as well just stood up and said, Buy her album. Buy the album.
And this is his family, right? Beautiful family, beautiful
I mean,
family.
no, absolutely. They're
Uh,
a beautiful family, and he seems. I'm gonna. You know what? As much as he may not be a great director, a lot of times, the impression I get is he's a very loving and caring father and a good husband. And you know what? If you're gonna be, I can't be too angry at a guy who has his priorities straight. If you're gonna try and try to be a good father and a good husband, absolutely. But
mm,
there does it's obvious that there's a level of nepotism in this by bringing her in it. And look, I know you want to throw your family a bone. You want to throw your daughter a bone and do this, but maybe be a little more subtle than this.
yeah.
Just a tad.
I just I was look because I was searching pictures for her just
Yeah.
so I can have reference when you talking about her, and I
Yeah.
just see this article. This article's funny. The headline of it, and they said the headline of the article is "How did Shalika Shyamalan land a lead role in Trap?" And it's in and then brackets here. It's not just that she knew the director. It's like I'm pretty sure
I'm pretty
95
sure.
percent
I'm
ninety
pretty
five
sure.
percent of it was because she knew the fucking director.
Exactly.
But hey, I mean, hey, if you want to hook your family up, no problem, whatever, you know.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Um,
I just that needs to be said.
yeah. And as a musician, I don't know. I mean, maybe I would need to hear more of it. I don't. I mean, I think the songs are
They're
fine.
fine.
I don't know. Maybe I need to hear more for music to really be a better judge of it. How'd you like the girl in it? How'd you like the daughter uh, of Josh Hartnett?
I think she's fine. I
Okay.
really didn't have too many complaints with her.
Okay. And Ariel Donahue is the girl's name there. Don't really see much she's been in so far, really. But I think this is like her first really like
But
big
she's
thing.
fine. I didn't think she did a bad job.
Mm, yeah,
She
she's like yeah. I think
Yeah.
I think they feel like a real father daughter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
honestly, if they were gonna go with this, it would have been more interesting if they dived more into his character in that sense, and that he is a father, but he also has this desire to do bad things, and
Mm,
it's an impulse in him to do it, and that juxtaposition between a because that's a far more menacing thought, in that you have almost like a dichotomy in who you are, and it's oh, I can be a very loving father, and I love my family and all this, but I'm also like a horrible piece of crap, and it's like on a dime, like almost on a dime. It's like thing I can turn on and off.
mm,
That's
yeah.
more terrifying to me is an ability you can turn on and off or something you can't quite do. I can
Yeah.
blend in with everybody else, and then there's that moment where you just kind of switch. You see that switch.
Mm, yeah. So you wanted to see more because this is not that long of a movie. It's only an hour and 46 minutes. So it's
Yeah,
not.
I didn't even. It didn't need to be longer. It just needed to be more in. It needed to cut down and be more specific on what it was trying to do.
Mm, okay.
It needed a more condensement of ideas.
Yeah. So, final thoughts and rating for Trap.
Uh, this is skip it.
Okay. Uh, it's just to skip it, huh?
I don't hate it. It wasn't terrible. I mean, there's some shots I thought was fine. I mean, when M Night has a moment, he can set up a scene fairly well, and there's some moments where he can shoot a scene pretty decently. But man, he just needs to stop having people write dialogue for him and story and everything else. He needs somebody to take his ideas and refine them, because in their pure form, the way he comes at it and writes all his stuff, and I admire that about him, but he just needs to accept that, man, you just can't do it, man. You can't write it. You can't.
Yeah. So it says here, so the premise was inspired by Operation Flagship, a sting operation in which disguised law enforcement arrested 101 wanted fugitives at a convention center, having invited them under the pretense of gifting them free NFL tickets and an opportunity to win an all
I would
expense
watch
paid.
that movie right now. That
Yeah.
seems way more interesting than what you just showed me.
Yeah. And then so Shyamalan pitched a trap as setting Silence of the Lambs at a Taylor Swift concert. in reference to her Eras tour and wrote the
Uh,
screenplay in 5.5 months, a personal record for him.
it it feels like that. This should have been R. It should have been bloodier. This should have been way more aggressive. And if he's going to do Silence of the Lamb, that includes great dialogue.
Yeah. And actually getting to see the
Yeah.
profiler, getting to
Yes,
see her.
exactly. Getting to see the profile, having an intimate view into the character.
Yeah. And then, I mean, I don't mean to be ageist, but would a woman that would a person that old be like in the field like that as an FBI agent or
Um,
FBI employee?
not necessarily. It c- Not necessarily. I don't know where the age of retirement would be, but
Yeah.
I guess this you could have easily tied that in. It's like this is my last job, or I'm working as a consultant to the FBI. Like I've retired, but this case
It
I've been a
says
consultant.
the mandatory retirement age of FBI special agents is 57 years old.
Yeah, so she would have been retired, but still being used as a consultant, as an expert in the field. I could easily see that. I'm an expert in the field. I have expert knowledge in this, and I've been working on this case for like over a decade.
Yeah.
You still
Uh,
keep people like that around because you want their information, their knowledge.
yeah. But, yeah, like I said, I mean, I wanted a little bit more, like Dust said, a little bit more of the profile. That would have been kind of interesting there. Where this movie goes, when it comes to the ending, it gets more fucking crazy and like
Yes, it
more you have
does.
to suspend more disbelief. I almost want to spoil it, but it suspends more disbelief of where it goes. But ultimately, I mean, I like Josh Hartnett's performance here. I think he does a good job going back and forth. Between the two persona. Is it a little maybe over exaggerated, I guess, a little bit maybe because of his kind of whole goofy dad and trying to bond with his kid and everything like that, I guess. But I think it works here. And I kind of was interested when it's him at the concert trying to see, like, trying to figure out all these different ways to, escape and then get away. Even though, again, it's like, how is nobody seeing this guy do all this stuff? I think you saw in the trailer, there's a scene where he pushes a woman, like, trying to create another distraction. He pushes a woman down a flight of stairs, and nobody sees that. All these crowd of people, like, nobody sees that at all. The way that people just divulge information to him just at the drop of a dime, like, even when doesn't even seem right. We mentioned the vendor guy, like, he tells the guy that, just because that he let this other girl have a shirt that his daughter wanted, and all of a sudden he's like, "Hey, I could tell you're a great family that with great values." It's like just based on that one little thing he did, like, okay, and then all of a sudden, as soon as he tells him his name, he's like, "Oh yeah, by the way, this is killer, and they're gonna trap him here, and they got all the exits and everything covered and everything." It's like, why would you tell all this person this? And then even stuff with the police and then the way they act is dumb. So yeah, I mean, you kinda gotta have to just go with it there, I guess. So, I had a little bit more fun with it. I was entertained by it. I had a little bit more fun with it,
Mm.
and for me, I give it a stream it. For me, just a plain stream it for that. I mean, M. Night has definitely done worse.
Oh,
Definitely d
sure.
he's definitely done worse.
I just didn't think there was anything here really to justify even to stream it. There are better movies.
Mm,
Better
true.
movies, better of this premise, using better uses of the time given.
I mean, if you want to see
Yeah,
a
but
Silence of the Lambs movie, just go see Longlegs.
yeah, yeah,
Just
yeah,
go
that's what I'm
see it.
saying.
Yeah, just go see a Longlegs. But, yeah. So, Dust gave it a skip it. I gave it a stream it for M. Night Shyamalan's Trap.